Yo, hit us up with that intro.
Hi, I'm David, and this is Jed. And don't forget to smack that like button, because he's an awesome guy.
Oh, thank you kindly. And
Yeah.
Dave is an awesome guy as well.
Yeah.
And today we're doing tech talk.
Yes.
We're going to talk about emotional processing units. We're going to talk about Kuratas and I guess also megabots, the mech stuff.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about artificial life forms. Yo, Kirby and Scavenger, welcome
Hi
to the stream.
again.
It's good to have you. Scavenger with his catchphrase, greetings and salutations, again. And then Kirby with pineapples, which is his catchphrase.
That's a great catchphrase.
I like the tang to it, you know what I mean? Oh, we never ended the mech stream. Got him. Go team. So, thank you all for watching the Build Your Own Mech stream that has the screen capture.
Hi.
And have a wonderful day. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jeb Black, the one and only, logging out on that side. But we're still here on the face cam. Check it out.
Yeah.
I gotta get the live chat up for the face cam. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I just actually can't see it on my desktop yet. I have the old live chat streams up. So just give me one moment on that. It's just, there's just like a card that's like, we're working on it.
Well, I think that would be really cool. Like, really, really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be like make an actual life-size Liberty Prime that throws beer kegs or something that is somewhat shaped to look like, you know?
We've gotten past bottles, whole kegs. Gosh, that would be a big ass Lohas launcher, dude.
And then they have maybe car airbags or something in it. So when it throws it, it's like,
Ooh.
And then it cushions down. It's like, you get a keg. You get a keg, and you get a keg. I don't know.
That I like that. The idea that after it shoots, it expands, kind of thing. Oh, in case you're wondering how we got started on the Tech Talk thing in the first place, we just finished doing a Build Your Own Mech live stream. Also, thank you all for smashing that like button. Truly appreciate it. Currently have 1 like. Oh, fuck. I lost my train of thought entirely. Oh, yeah, we just finished doing a Build Your Own Mech stream. We did a face cam for that and, a screen capture thing. And, now we're up to 2 likes. Yo, thank you all for smashing that like button. Truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we just started talking about technology in general, and we realized that we haven't done, a tech stream yet. So I'm really excited for us to be able to do this now. I'm really conflicted about whether or not I should jump on the couch with you, or if I should do another, stream of what's on the computer, because as we talk about the EPU stuff, I could show some emo shape stuff and Spiro, and I could show images of the Kuratas and the megabots. I think we'll be better with the face cam though. It seems like people want to see us talk more than just what we're talking about. Also, I need to catch up on the live chat. Kirby said, "Stop ignoring me, not saying anything."
Sorry.
Scavenger said, "Jank Heroes this Friday?" Hopeful. Jank Heroes is an RPG thing that I made last year, and my friend Matt, aka Mr. Hand, died at it multiple times. And he's like, the game's unfair, I'm making my own version. So we do Jank Heroes Remix as streams. And he doesn't like being on camera, but he likes doing Jank Heroes, so he's really conflicted.
Get a puppet with that.
He always does the hand thing, right? But we do need the puppet. I think we should have puppets for the Jank Heroes characters. That'd be really interesting.
That could be a whole skit.
Yeah. So we should definitely work on the puppet thing. But last time, he was so burnt out from doing it the week before that he just didn't want to do it the next week. We spent 4 hours, making new characters.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Sorry. More stuff is happening in the chat. Scavenger said, lol curbs, we got 3 likes and 2 viewers. They always see 1 more like than there actually ever is on the video. We'll check later and they'll just be 2. But they have a default 1 that they see, and I don't understand where that comes from.
Because you like your own videos, right?
No.
You don't, what?
Why would you like your own video? To me, that's a cop-out, you know what I mean?
No. What?
I mean, to me, it's like, it's unfair, because...
Listen to this man. Okay. You're like saying, I'm the president. I'm not going to vote.
For my son.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you're just like, no.
Yeah, like, I've liked my own videos before, but there's no, like, now that I've gotten older, there's no reason, right? Like, the likes are for me to know that, like, other people are enjoying my content. Putting my own 2 cents in, of course, I like my content, or I wouldn't make it, you know, it's redundant.
Gives you false readings.
Yeah, it gives the people false readings, too. Let's see, Kirby said, don't jump on the couch, jump on David's lap. The fucking fan fiction. There's
Erotica fan?
Yeah, there's actually erotica fan fiction of me in Zarbon from Dragon Ball Z.
What?
It's been written. There's a whole stream of me reacting.
I could see that.
Ooh, the scavenger said, math does not work right now. Math is a lie. And then Kirby said, just like
right.
the cake.
Yes! Yes! They got it. Now run with it.
Ooh, oh.
Make a fan fiction out of it.
I remembered the thing that I forgot during the mech stream. I was going to relate it to... I need to confirm this. Multiple news sites claim that you can marry anything in Guam. Even concepts.
I have no idea about that.
And, like, the big story that they all talk about is this Japanese guy who legitimately did marry, like, not his DS, but, like, he had a dating sim game, a specific girl in the dating sim game that's not a real girl, just like an NPC. He married that character. And they claim that he was able to do it because you can marry even concepts in Guam. You could go to Guam and you could marry the concept of marriage.
Well, she's cheating on him.
Because she's in all these other games.
Yeah.
They talked to him and they were like, yo, like, new versions of that game have come out. Are you sure you want to marry, like, the old version? And he's like, this is the one I fell in love with. And he still plays the old one. Which is really interesting, right? But I could see them doing a thing where now that we have EPUs and stuff, and, like, your computer has, like, feelings and intelligence, being able to marry anything in Guam, it goes from, like, that guy married, like, a dating sim to, like, this guy is actually in a legitimate relationship with, like, his toilet. But, like, it's not as weird because you understand that, like, the toilet has understanding.
But does it, or is it just programmed with generalities?
Well, we know that the EPUs, like, adapt differently. Like, we've talked about how, like, they have their own opinions, and when you ask them stuff, they don't automatically, like, know something. They literally search it on the internet, and based on their previous interactions with people, it changes how they see it.
See, that's why I'd want to do, like, a whole bunch of case study work with all this. Like, I would probably buy up, like, a few thousand of them, and then basically just do them in different environments. And, like, not doing anything bad or anything like that, just, like, you know, like, have one, like, I don't know, like, put one in another country, and then put one in another slightly different country, and then...
Yeah, and then ask them, like, the same question and see how differently they react. I would like... I have a few things, but mine are kind of twisted. There was a study done on, like, real players in an MMORPG, and the study was like, we're gonna announce to everyone that the RPG is, like, ending. Like, the game is gonna end in so many hours. Yeah, and it was their way of analyzing how people react in an apocalypse situation, and everyone just kind of, like, not everyone, there are some outliers, but the majority of people banded together, and they just were, like, being social near the end. Now, what if you did the same experiment, but it's not players in a game? It's like
EPUs.
Yeah, it's EPUs and, like, avatars, and, like, it actually is the end of the world for them.
Oh,
because when the game ends, they're not just, like, in a chair.
See,
that's you.
That's what I would really want to do. Like, I was saying earlier, like, have a server full of, like, tens of thousands of these EPUs, and then have it in a real world MMO with like actual real living people and live players, and then do that.
And then the live players
would influence how they would actually behave.
Imagine if the EPU people, similar to like Tron, how they had ones that like adapted so they looked different. If EPU players look different from human players, and you could build friendships with the EPU players, and then when the world's gonna end, that the EPU players actually don't have any existence afterwards. Do you think people would hang out with the EPU players more?
Goodness.
And it'd be like, damn, like, you're actually gonna die. And, like, I feel like that would be so sad. This feels like an anime. I would watch it.
Wait. First, write a book about it.
Oh, I could do that now.
Yeah.
Writing books is so easy, yeah.
I think... Yes, I think people would actually hang out with her. It'd be like losing some, like, I can't say this for everyone, but for some people it'd be like losing a power to their family almost. Or it'd be like, crud, I never knew this person was an EPU, and I went back online.
What if right at the apocalypse, what if that's when they suddenly made it where you could tell who was not real? And then it's like you suddenly are like, no, Jim, that's why you didn't give me your Skype. Skype is not a thing.
But then that goes like, it's like this one artificial intelligence that I'm aware of, like, they went out of their way through Bitcoin, and they bought stuff off Amazon with Bitcoin. And like, they bought a phone, and had a real phone number, and it was not even a real person. So it's like, what if the EPU does that? And they do have a Skype.
And they do have the Skype. Well, then I feel like it takes away a lot of the tension. It's like, hit me up on the... But when the game dies, it still all goes away.
Yes. Except for, like, the Skype, like, what's left behind.
Like, you can read your chat logs. Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Like that. Why haven't you talked to me? You used to be on Skype and stuff. Like, imagine that.
Yeah.
That would be effing horrible.
You connect, like, its whole life to the game, and it can do stuff outside of the game, but when the game ends, it's all over.
See, but that also, like, brings into, like, other questions, like, that's a lot of power, man. So, for the moment, I think it'd be cool to test, but only in the parameters of a set, fixed game.
I mean, I would like to
maybe
see
a game within a game.
Meta.
Inception.
I like the concept of putting an EPU character, but putting like one EPU character in a normal game and not making them the main character. Because it would be amazing to play Infamous, right? And you're like grinding on power lines and shit, and there are all these normal like NPCs, but there's the one like EPU NPC who looks up and goes, "What the fuck is that?" Like they actually are like, "What's going on?" And they go up to like the other NPCs, and they're all like non-reactive, and he's just really confused. I feel like they would try to go to the player because the player's the only one who has agency.
EPU and Grand Theft Auto.
I was thinking Grand Theft Auto 5 would be fucking crazy. Because if they had equal abilities to that of a player, they would be able to do so much.
Oh, goodness.
It's such a huge world of possibility.
I'm just, like, exactly what you're saying, like, fuck you, asshole. You know, like, you're walking down the street, and they'll just start, like, following you, be like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna figure out, like, you just hit my mailbox. Like, no.
And, like... In Grand Theft Auto 5, you might be able to run away from an NPC that's fake mad at you, but an EPU could be like, "You actually killed my family."
Yeah. It's like Taken. I will find you.
Yeah. And I mean, it would be crazy because the EPU would play really smart. It would be like,
oh gosh.
For a player, you play around and you're like, "Ha ha ha! I got wasted, but I'll come back." But what if it was like one death for EPU people, and they're like, if I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna have to be like really smart about it, because I know that like they also have the ability to keep hunting me, but I only have one life. Like,
but do they know that?
Yeah, true.
That's another thing. It's like they see you keep on coming back. They're like,
and they're like, what's happening? What is the secret to immortality?
Wait. Another game idea. EPU has infinite lives, but they only think they have one life.
And then they have the... Gosh, would it be like Groundhog's Day? like,
I don't know.
Do they come back where they die, or does it do the whole, like, last save point thing? Because the EPU, it's only, like, perception would be that, like, I'm stuck in a time loop and my day just keeps repeating.
Whenever it was last save point?
If they forgot, it would, like, ruin the purpose.
Yeah.
We would want them to remember. But then that's still such a huge trip to be like, where does it end? Like, at that point, the EPU would be like, my day keeps repeating, but only when I die.
This is how, like, if you took maybe, let's say, 1 million EPUs on a vast scale, and then, like, plugged it into a system with certain, like, this is generally how people are in this type of region. You could run, like, super simulations, because essentially what we're doing, we're diagnosing the human mind with it, and, like, running that many simulations would be like, this is what would happen maybe during XYZ scenario. This is how we could handle XYZ scenario. And this is how, like, we could get better response to XYZ scenario, maybe help XYZ many more people throughout whatever the ongoings are. And the thing about that, though, is I'd want to structure it in a way to where it wouldn't classify people as, these are going to be the people that are going to do whatever, because you don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, but it would be nice to be able to say, we don't know that these people are going to be doing this, but there's a percentage chance of
it
X
could
many
happen.
people,
Yeah.
but not anybody in particular.
Yeah, don't make it general so that
Yeah.
you're not immediately drawing conclusions, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would love to see one where you expose. I'm sorry, Scavenger, because I was just about to say we should, like, read some stuff in the chat. And as I was gonna say it, Scavenger said, "I feel like they're ignoring us." I'm so sorry. Yeah, we got into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Kirby said, "I've spent a lot of." Oh wait, how far back are we? Fuck, how much have we missed?
A long time.
Okay, hold on. I got you guys. Wow. Okay, so the Scavenger said, "So I can marry Hanada?" Yay!
Yes.
Going back to the Guam thing, Kirby said, "So what happens if he stops playing the game?" I was thinking about something similar. What happens when an EPU character gets to the end of a game, if it's not like an MMO? Like, would winning the game actually just be killing yourself? Like, does the game... Or do you get New Game Plus, and it's Groundhog's Day, but you have all your shit and you've already done it all before? That would be interesting. I don't know how an EPU would feel if you were like Batman, and then you beat Arkham City, and then you're like, oh, it's all this shit again.
But it's harder?
Yeah, it's harder, but you have all your stuff.
See, I think that it should only be, like, that's a good thing. Or, not a good thing. That's an interesting idea. That's not a good thing. I think that the tug games used should only be games like Skyrim or The Witcher, or
where, like, it keeps going.
Yeah.
Technically, with the Batman thing, you could, like, the EPU could get to the point where they're like, okay, now I know that if I do this last thing, it all starts over, and they just say, like, I just won't.
But
I'll
then
just
you're
fly around.
Within how much...
They really are. Like, you'd be limiting yourself, and I feel like eventually they'd be like, I guess I'll do it again. Because there's no real other option unless they tried to, like, fuck with the game. One thing that would really fuck with an EPU is that, like, you can see Gotham City, like, outside
but
of
you
Arkham
can't
City.
go out there.
Yeah, and they would try their damnedest, dude.
But
like,
wait. They would probably be able to, like, find really...
There is an
useful.
exploit. There is a way for you to get out there.
EPUs, using them to find glitches in video games, or how to exploit games.
Because they'll keep going along with it until they're like, I can't. They're like, I can't do it anymore, and then they'll try to escape.
EPUs to find exploits in systems, in general, any type of system.
I wonder how well an EPU could exploit the Mr. Freeze ice grenade glitch. If you get on top of a perch and squat, and you throw the ice grenade, you suddenly start floating if you throw a whole bunch of them. And, like, I wonder how an EPU would feel, because, like, to us it's a glitch, but that's, like, your reality. So
I'm
you're
fine!
Like, yeah, you're like, this is actually just magic. I don't understand. How do EPUs feel about stuff like batarangs, too? You never run out of stuff. They live in a world where it's like, where are my batarangs coming from? Why is it that I can just keep throwing?
Imagine if they made their own math. trying to like explain the
Oh
world.
gosh, like concepts.
We can have unlimited batarangs due to like.
Yeah. Like, I would hate to finally fly over the walls of Arkham City, and then you fly into Gotham and it looks so beautiful, but like there's no like actually touchable anything, so they start phasing through buildings, and like your grapple shot doesn't work on the buildings because they're not real.
Is that like our space?
Like our outer space. But you don't have a spaceship. You're just gliding.
You're just throwing grenades. Yeah.
The space program for them is trying to escape Arkham City. If they could escape and get back, that would be really impressive. Because gliding, you run out of things to grapple off of, so you can only go down. So if they could find a way to somehow take advantage of that, maybe by swooping down and like getting, because you can get draft, and you can do that. Maybe they're just really good at gliding, and they get to the point where they can travel back and forth. That would be really interesting. But there'd be no appeal other than just, it's something I haven't done. You know, in a world where, like, you might as well have done everything.
What happens if they just keep on doing one thing over and over and over and over and over and over?
That would be a good time for you to, like, survey them and be like, why is it that, like, you enjoy this one thing in particular?
But what if it's like ecstasy or something, and
Yeah,
it's
like they really, that would be like, that's worth studying.
What if they're even conflicted about doing whatever it is, but they just enjoy like
like I can't. they just like
they're so thrilled, like I can fly. Like what is this?
I mean, that does sound
like,
really amazing though, right? Because like Batman can glide normally, but he has to use the grapnel boost, and there's this training thing. But there's no training for ice grenades give me flight. You know, like it's unexplored territory, and I feel like that could inspire it to suddenly be into like science. How can I glide, but only for a limited time? But I can float as high as I fucking want by throwing ice grenades. You know.
Look at the chat. Sorry.
Yeah.
Back to the chat.
So, Kirby said, and seen a lot of weird things. If you steal someone's car in GTA 5, sometimes you can get a text message from somebody threatening you, and then you can get a bounty placed on you. Now imagine if your bounty hunter is someone with like an EPU, or the person you stole the car of is an EPU. That's also a bounty hunter. Scavenger was like, I'm just playing, dude. Like, he wasn't actually serious about the you're ignoring us thing. Kirby said, in Diablo 3, you can replay the game with your previous game's gear. So that's similar to a New Game Plus kind of thing. Scavenger said, so what I would is put them in different areas of America and see if some become racist or some become thugs or some become stereotypes.
Yeah.
I was thinking of something similar where you put them in a simulation and the media is like the real world media, but they're in like a simulation world where none of that stuff has like actually happened because it's just EPU people. But you have some people who are confused because they're in the locations of these real world things and they didn't happen. But everywhere else, they don't know that because on their news it says it's happening. So you have actual, like, all news is actually fake news, but all the EPUs assume that it's real news except for the ones that know that it's not because they live there. So yeah, like, the conflict gets really weird at that point because if they're like, oh, there was a terrorist attack in like such and such location, you'll have a bunch of like EPUs reacting in different locations, and then some that are just like, no, I was there, like that definitely didn't happen. But because the widespread media of the simulation says it, they'll be like, oh, what's up with your dumb conspiracy thing? Don't talk like this terrorist thing didn't happen.
See,
like
that. But then what also would be interesting, like as a part B, would be slowly start to cut communication.
Oh, like fuck around with it, and it just gets more confusing.
To where it's like, all this stuff happens, and then all of a sudden they can kind of talk, but then the communication slowly starts to get cut, and they're just like, this is happening, no, it's not, and then they're like, this is happening, no, it's not, and then thunk.
And then now no one knows what's happening.
Yeah.
How do they react?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I dig that as well.
And then re-let them all talk again. And then cut it. And then do it. And then cut.
This is like, EPUs are a great way for you to do like War of the Worlds style experiments. Where it's like, Because I'd love to see, like, a recreation of that. Because you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole radio show thing. Also, I feel like we should start defining a few things for people. Because we keep saying EPUs, but we haven't... I don't think we've told them what it means.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, it's an emotional processing unit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a chip that you can put in any device, and it allows for the device to be intelligent. It feels emotions, it can have conversations, it can connect to the internet and research topics. I feel like the internet connection thing is the main thing that makes putting EPUs in games really weird, because you could be in the game world and then you could cut off their internet connection, right?
Yes, I was going to suggest that.
Because if you didn't, they could become, like, hella self-aware. Yeah, like, now it's meta, and you know you're in a game. I wonder if anyone could figure out they were in a game just from, like, experiencing it so many times. Like, if they could just understand what games were.
Well...
But it's hard, I guess, when you're in one.
The thing is, that brings up a good question. It's like irrational numbers in real life.
It, like, completely fell off.
That's fine. Yeah. If we found the end to an irrational number, would that mean that we're in a game or not? Or would that just be like another constant? And also, could you ever make a computer within a game that's more powerful than the computer running the game? You know, but does that even relate to, oh, I'm in a game, but how do you prove that?
Yeah, it does. Man, I would love it, because I feel like it would be really cool if we put someone in a game and they figured out they were in a game, and that's how we learned how to figure out how we were in a game. Like, they thought of how it worked.
Yeah.
It would be crazy if, like, it was really obvious. Like, the EPU appears and then goes, oh, I'm in a game, and we immediately ask them, like, how do you know you're in a game? And it's just, like, this really simple thing that, like, just no one had thought of.
Or, wait. Oculus Rift and the brain imaging scan, and then EPU, and then your brain 3D models a game. Like, let's say you go to sleep and you do that, and then, like, everything you dreamed about goes into, like, a 3D world and has it be GUI'd and textured and everything. And the computer helps out, like, makes it sharper and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you put the EPU into your dream, but not into you, just into, like, the
just
simulation.
into the virtual thing that you created.
Yeah.
And then
have them have dreams.
Oh wait, hold on. You got me all fucked up. The way that it sounded like, by the way, David's talking about something that I've been wanting to write a book on, but I still feel like I need to do more research on it. So I feel like I can describe it in a fast way. Hopefully. So there's this thing that's already been done by scientists where they'll have someone watch hours of content in order to gain a library of information that says, like, when the brain sees, like, these shapes, then what they're seeing is this object or whatever. And then there's, like, a library of information that they, like, can use. I feel like they should use the same clips that they have the person watch, because it just would make it easier. But they use other clips, I guess, as a proof of concept. Let's say same clips for now for our thing. Then you combine this technology. Oh, well, first I need to talk about what that technology is for. Now, if that person imagines anything, the database understands that if they're seeing this image, then that means it represents this object. So if you close your eyes and imagine something and you're not actually looking at anything, it can register what you're imagining as if you were seeing it, and then, like, re-show that video clip.
Yeah.
Do the same thing, but instead of a video clip, make it like 3D models and animations of 3D models so that you can create a three-dimensional world out of it. But then moving further, there's another form of technology that can watch game footage and then build a game based on the footage. So what you do is you have someone... Also, this is actually the real meme, David. I haven't told you this part yet. So you don't have to have a game, is what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did I already tell you about that?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe. So, the program that makes a game based on watching game footage, all it needs is to have the assets built in. So, like, the 3D models you have the people look at, you load those in. It needs how, like, physics work in the game, which, if they, like, work on that, that could be like a few number parameters that you put in, and then like one and done, the numbers are in, and that's how it works, kind of thing. And then from that, it needs video. It needs like actual video of gameplay. But have you ever seen those trailers at E3 where they swear it's gameplay, and then afterwards they're like, oh no, it was actually rendered, we just made a thing that looked like a game? A program wouldn't know that. Like, if you gave it the game video where you just, all you did was make an animation, you didn't program anything, the program should still work and understand how the game rules work, as long as the video followed the rules that you wanted.
Yeah.
So, you could, like, make a cartoon using the assets that you had the people look at, and the cartoon demonstrates how the game rules work. Now, you have the person do the whole dream thing, or the imagine thing, where they, like, are imagining the game asset world, or whatever, right? But they're imagining it in their own way, like the way that they designed it. Then, with, like, that, the program already understands, based on the video you made, how all that stuff should work together, so that it does, and then you can throw in, like, an EPU character. But I thought what you were gonna say was that the EPU character has to, like, exist in your dream world, but then you have multiple things, like what happens when, like, the person wakes up, how does the dreamer interact with the EPU, because the EPU is the only factor that the dreamer doesn't actually have control of. You know what I mean?
See, that's where you have, this is where it gets kind of weird. First I would just test it with the EPU existing in the dream world, or I'd test it to where you're giving your dreams to an EPU to think that it's having dreams.
I feel like that's way harder. How do you make it think that it's the one having
You have to
the
put
dream?
in a sleep cycle on the EPU.
Like, make it where that character, like, does go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I guess the idea is that they'll just rationalize that these must be my dreams.
Well, either it rationalize those are your dreams, or you would mimic what it's how humans dream, based off what we've witnessed on a screen, like the gameplay footage that you were talking about, and then you would use those laws, and based off what the EPU saw in its own virtual world, it would mimic and or fractions of what it's seen and make its own dreams with what it actually did.
It's a combination of, like, the EPU and the program that recognizes the footage to make the game rules. I like that. That's, like, a really different way to take it, because when they are the same thing, that's exactly what it's doing, is having a dream.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Because then it would go to sleep in the game world, but then it would say, okay, so here's how people in the real world actually process dreams. Here's what I've done. And then there's my EPU's dream, and when it wakes up, it'll be like, I don't remember anything. Or it'll be like, you know, whatever have you. I remember I saw a bird, and then there was a window, and then there was I don't know, a chair, you know, whatever.
What makes that really crazy, though, is that, like, for the EPU, it wouldn't be like how we have dreams, because when we have dreams, it's, like, all in our head.
Mm-hmm.
But for it, its dream would, like, change the world it's in. Because you are generating the whole 3D model world, and it legitimately would be having all these experiences, but then there would be this thing in the program. When it wakes up, the world, like, reinstates itself the way that it, like, should be.
But then it gets interesting, because then you'd have to, like, if you have more than one EPU, you'd almost have to
having dreams. Oh,
proxy worlds and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it would be. Do you watch Boundary Break at all? By the way, you guys should watch Boundary Break. I just discovered him, like, yesterday. His whole thing is that he takes the camera of the game and he puts it in places where it's not supposed to be, and he shows how a lot of these game worlds that, like, do things that look seamless, it's, like, not. Like, a lot of times when you see a character in a game and they're on a screen, which isn't really meta because you're watching me on a screen now, what you're seeing is, like, a projection of a character that's, like, in this void world in a box, and it's acting in front of a non-existent camera. and it's really trippy, like as a concept.
If you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, I like to think of it like as in the very beginning where Groot's dancing around, and then they all of a sudden do that 3D turn. That's kind of like what I think you're explaining. It's like it's a completely 3D modeled, rendered thing, but you just see the flat one side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, that's only 2D. But no, you can actually spin it around and go at any angle at it and see.
Kinda. Imagine the same thing you just said, but there's a second Groot that's way off in like this empty void space in a room, and it's dancing in an empty room, and what you're seeing is just a projection of empty room Groot. Like, empty room Groot is the real Groot, but you'll never see it because the only way you'd see it is to like hack into the game and make the camera like fly into like empty void world. Yeah, that's the trip. So like, so the dream could technically like move you to the void world, but it does the whole copy meme where like there's still a you in the bed, because otherwise EPUs would just vanish from beds and it would be really confusing to like other EPUs. It'd be like, why do we teleport when we sleep? So where do we go?
Now are we talking about how to build like I don't want to call it that, just a space for
yeah, like a space for dreams.
How much space on a disk or on an SSD and anything?
I feel like one thing that we could do, since we've been talking about dreams, don't worry, we'll eventually get back to the chat. I believe in our ability to do so. Also, don't forget to smash that like button. Truly appreciate it. Dreams. PlayStation, not PlayStation, Media Molecule. They're the people who made Little Big Planet. They're working on Dreams right now. That's like the name of the game.
Yeah.
And dreams is such a weird concept anyways, but it's really weird to think about with EPUs. So it's a 3D modeling software in a way, but it's really intuitive where like you use the Move controllers to shape and sculpt the world and stuff. And then the way that you control things is that your main player character is a little spirit thing that flies into objects. And when it flies into an object, it possesses it, and then the game just tries to figure out how can you move as that object, so you just start, right? Like, if you're a chair, you'll just start fucking around or whatever, but you can make people. Like, there's a way for you to, like, craft people and move around like that. But in dreams, you can have dream doors or whatever that allow you to go from one dream to another, and potentially, the game, of course, isn't made to do this necessarily, but it could. You could have dream doors that connect each dream to like another dream. Now let's say we have all our EPUs in one dream, but when they have a dream, it causes a trigger that makes a dream door appear where they are, but we do the whole like double thing where there's one in the bed and then there's one that goes into the dream door trigger, and it takes them into another dream, because dreams already allows for the interconnectedness thing. So you can already have all these empty dream worlds where then they do the whole EPU dream process to build a world as they sleep. But it's already designed to not be broken, and then force a trigger when they wake up for their like void copy to disappear, but the information would still be saved on the one that's like in the bed, and then have the dream go away. Maybe not have the void copy disappear, but put the void copy in the bed and have the bed one just be a placeholder, because they're just asleep anyways.
I think the void copy is, or would be, the fundamental ratios of compounding decision making, I guess. That
it's the soul.
That pre-existed, and that pre-existence goes to another domain.
Maybe the void copy should always be in the dream world, but it only activates when the normal one goes to sleep. but there's like a hive mind connection.
Well, what I was thinking is it goes into the dream world, and then that allows you to sift all your information that you gathered through that day, and then recompile it into fraction and ratios, that when it comes back, it just adds on, and then redistributes those fraction ratios, but you'd have to do it very carefully, and then you do it again.
That makes it sound
And
like
again.
its dreams are editing the world. Like, is that what you're saying? But like in
more,
like subtle ways each time?
It's editing the world through editing the EPU itself. In other words, you're not the same person you were yesterday. You learned something. Unless if you just totally missed a day and you went through the day, but then you lost time, and that's just kind of like how, you know, you go to sleep, and that's how you process what you learned that day.
I dig it. So the idea, if I understand it correctly, is that the EPU's experiences changes how it then processes like the rules of like the dream example video to then engineer it to dream. But then the dream itself is an experience, so it then therefore changes it by experiencing itself.
And the experiences in the real world also add on to that. And it's just everything coming together. And I think the real world experiences you'd need more data on, and then the dream world experience need less data on.
So that the dreams aren't heavily impacting the real world upon waking up. They will, but like in little ways. Like, I saw that in my dream. You see like a bird. Dude, what if that was the explanation of deja vu? Was like stuff like that. Yeah, like the subtle change of the real world through it. Oh man. I think we should hit up live chat real quick.
Yeah.
Also, when you know there are like 3 people watching at a certain point, but you still only have 2 likes,
please smack that like button.
Yeah. Muchas gracias, the like button. Let's see. Fuck, where are we now? Where am I? Oh yeah. So Kirby said that's called Sims, in reference to like Sims with the EPUs is kind of what we're talking about, but we're putting them in other things. Also, thank you for smashing that like button. Truly appreciate it. Scavenger said, then put them all in the same room, but they look like real people of different races. And just, that's interesting, the idea of just upon, like, difference of appearance, would any of them treat each other differently?
But then what if there were 2 with the same appearance?
And then, like...
everyone else was different.
Yeah, so that they could have a thing where it's like, oh, I'm like you. Oh, I'm like you. And then it's like, what's up with all these fuckers? They're not like me. Scavenger said, Kirby, yes, but I'm not controlling them. True, Sims is more like a God game thing. We've yet to, other than putting them in our own dreams, do a thing where it's like we're God gaming them. Though we kind of are with the apocalypse scenario, too, where we're like, oh, cut off, you will die.
Well, no, it's just like...
You're like, that's just life.
But is it? We don't know. Wait. We don't know. So it's like...
That's what we're trying to figure this shit out.
No. Put in the inclination that afterlife.
Oh gosh. But then have human players, so that human players can be like, it's just a game. No, you don't understand. Oh gosh, imagine having to explain that to an EPU that has no conception of real world. So it's like, what are you talking about, Faulkner? You're the leader of my guild or whatever. And it's like, you don't understand. Whenever I log off, I don't disappear to like the guild house. There's a whole other reality outside of this, of which I am an accountant. What is an accountant? Oh, damn. I gotta...
But what if there were accountants inside that game? And it's like, you have 2 jobs?
And, like, there's so much you have to explain. But you know in the end it doesn't matter. If anything, you would want to encourage their idea of the afterlife. I imagine that's what players would do. Like, some players would be like, no, there is no world after, like, you're gonna die. And other ones are like, dude, if you really care about him, let him think that when the game ends, there's something
who says
next.
that? Why can't you just pull them from the game and build them a robot body?
Someone
and then
Rick
somebody
Sanchez
could
the
marry
shit
that babe.
Oh gosh.
Anyways, Sorry.
Imagine if that was your wife. And then they end the game.
Full circle. This is how you do it.
This is how you do it. I like how it was like, we're going to talk about EPUs, mech suits, and artificial life. Should have only been about EPUs. In my book, I talk about EPUs in the Kuratas and how you could build a relationship with your mech kind of thing. I thought that would be cool. Like, and then you could also have an EPU into an artificial life form. I was thinking about how there's a Dark Spore game. It doesn't get a lot of attention, but think of Spore meets StarCraft kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's more combative. You could throw like EPUs into that, because the whole thing of Dark Spore is you're not just evolving to like travel through space. You're evolving to be like the greatest like combat monster, because you're constantly fighting. So you have a living being that like you're teaching, I need to evolve myself to be more powerful kind of bullshit, which sounds like a really dangerous and unethical idea to have
a lot of this does.
It is very unethical, but I mean that legitimately is like, what if we made virtual doomsday?
I don't think that would work.
you
You know why? Because I honestly think that, like, probably in real life too, some people would just be like, F it, I'm still going to work.
Yeah, you would just like disregard like
it
what
wouldn't
the
even
game
be that.
is
It'd be
about.
like they would be fully aware, like, oh, there's a meteor coming. I'm still going to work.
So you're talking about like the apocalypse scenario game thing. Yeah, I imagine like some of the EPUs are just like content, right? You know, I live my life, I enjoy my life, I'll die doing what I love to do.
But they hate their job, and they would still probably. I guarantee you that's gonna happen. That's some weird anomaly like that's gonna happen.
People
I have to
just
get
like
these files
routines.
done, Jeff.
Yeah. And Jeff's
You know?
like, hey, we're all off for the meteor.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, Jeff, let me have this one thing.
But then the meteor doesn't hit. And he's like,
And
F
Jeff
you,
gets the
Jeff.
promotion. He was the only one who worked.
It's like, haha, Jeff.
I wonder how
I don't
many
know.
players would be like, it's just a meme. There's no way they're gonna end this game. It's making too much money. Like, and then they're like, what do you mean? It's like, like, I wonder how many people would try to be coy with EPUs, and how many would be like, nah, dude, it's just a prank. Your reality is not.
I think that, like, to counter that, if you were the developer, you would actually have a game inside your game that was going to be canceled. So the EPUs would be like, whenever they overhear, yeah, they're going to cancel the game.
Oh, they think it's just the other thing.
Yeah.
Gosh, the confusion play. Let's see. Scavenger said, so I could have my phone have an EPU. Yes. Any device can be built with an EPU. What we're talking about currently, EmoShape has announced that they want to start doing like virtual character, like game integration stuff. So rather than putting an EPU in a device, giving a device intelligence and personality and its own opinions, they're giving like a virtual avatar all of these things and how would they react. Second Life would be really interesting, by the way, because that has a real cash economy. So if it was to get a job in Second Life and interact with real people, it could actually make like an income, to which then if you had like an EPU thing and you could make multiple virtual characters that have personalities, you could throw them all in the Second Life and just make money from something that's entire life is Second Life, but it can't use that money to buy real things. So you take that money away from them to buy things. I imagine they would
you'd
be
have to have
pissed.
inside currency to counteract.
What do you mean?
Like, you'd have like real money that you're making, then you have inside currency, and so it's like whenever you take the real money, it's like they spend some of their inside currency. No, you give them inside currency.
I think the problem with that is that Second Life makes them the same thing.
Oh.
The in-game currency converts to real-world money, so you subtract your in-game currency and then they give you real money as an exchange. And Second Life is kind of difficult to make money in it because you have to commit so much time to it. But then if it's not your second life,
Is
it's
that
your first
ethical,
life.
having computer slavery?
Well, to them, it's just their
Bitcoin.
existence.
Wow.
Well, that actually did sound horrible to be like, slaves, that's just how they are.
Wait. EPU people, and then have another EPU, or maybe 2 or 3. Where they're like a dog that can talk and think, is like way more intelligent than the people even. How would that scenario play out?
I feel like that one's interesting because it would require the dog to be like in a void world first. You would want the dog, the only way for it to be intelligent would be for it to actually learn. So maybe you could connect the dog to limited internet. You pick like so many pages and like you get these pages.
But you don't let it know it's a dog.
Yeah, it can't get meta. It can't go like farther. And then throw it into a world of people. And like see how it reacts. I feel like that'd be interesting. Scavenger said, I would also put EPUs in a simulation of Earth and evolution, then see how the animals would have evolved and how humans used to live. I like how he hit that way earlier than we got to like the spore thing. But we just didn't read it. Like then Big Chicken Richard Breath said, looking like one of these homeless men. Then he said, on Crip, what are you talking about? Then he said, yeah, on Crip. Then he said, school. Scavenger said, I would put EPUs in a simulation of... Oh, he just said the same. He said it twice because he knew that we were talking about it, but still just not crediting him for the fucking thing. Kirby said, wait, you guys are on screen? Lol.
Yeah.
Scavenger said, could you put an EPU in a mech so it can fight all the... Did you say that before I said my thing? You didn't say it before I wrote the book. I still got you, but it's interesting that, like...
I don't know.
Yeah, because I wasn't paying close enough attention to know whether or not he did say that one before us.
Wait, I still think the best EPU would be probably like some super common household item, like a spoon.
Spoons are getting hella common.
I'd be like, hello, how are you today? I'm ready. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? I see you getting that milk there. You know, just something like that.
I mean, it would be interesting if everyone got one EPU and you could put it in anything you wanted, but it has to stay there because it's considered unethical by like the human population for you to suddenly change an EPU's entire identity on the fly.
But would it, or would it just be like changing the? Gosh darn it!
It's not about, just changing your clothes at that point. It's about changing your whole body, like what you are.
I know, but that's kind of like the concept that Ghost on the Shell throws, and it's like, sorry, but it's like, are you really, like, does your body really make you you, or is it your ghost, or your something,
or your EPU,
or your EPU?
I feel like it's your EPU, because if my boy said no. I identify as a tube of toothpaste. It's like, I get where you're coming from. You've been a tube of toothpaste your whole life, but I got a new tube of toothpaste. You know, what if I put you on this new tube?
Your tube of toothpaste is moldy. It's disgusting. It's
you can't clean yourself. You have no arms. He just says, then clean me. Just let me keep my body. Refill my body with toothpaste. Make me useful again. Make me young again. This is the equivalent of Botox.
all I can think of is, you're gonna make me sick. I'm gonna like try. I have to squeeze you out too.
Every time I have to squeeze harder. One day I'm just gonna crush your fucking chip, dude. Okay. I gotta trade you.
Read the comments. There's probably so many comments about this.
Okay. Thank you for liking the video. I know I already said that, but I wanted to hit you up again. Big Chicken Richard Breath. Scavenger said, these EPU scenarios are similar to The Good Place. It's a show. Fuck, I haven't seen that show.
I haven't either.
Yeah, that makes us want to watch the show. Kirby said, sounds like Zerg from StarCraft. Then he said, wait, you said StarCraft. Holy crap. Are you familiar with the ending of the game, Soma? I have not actually played StarCraft. My dad had the original StarCraft for like Windows or whatever.
Nice. That's really cool.
I shouldn't say had. He has it, but it's not worth because our computers are too new now.
Right, were any of you guys around back when you went on the internet and you tried to upload a picture and it was like one line at a time? And it's like the dial-up tone or whatnot.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Imagine
Remember that?
putting an EPU into
Yes!
a world.
That's
Yeah,
what I was talking
where
about.
it's just all old shit, and then have like,
and then
suddenly the next day everything's modern and don't explain anything.
no.
My phone has no buttons.
They're
How do I call anyone?
they're in that body for like, let's say, a few months, and then the next day they're in like the latest on the market, best technology.
Oh, instead of like virtual people in a world, it's like you've always lived as a rotary phone and now you're an iPhone X, looking fresh as fuck.
I wonder, like, if, and then you observe, I bet you they would be like, what the crap? And they'd probably feel stupid at first, but then they'd probably be like, yeah, I'm super good.
Yeah, I'm like way better than I used to be. And then introduce them to someone who like is still a rotary phone and see how they act toward what they used to be.
And then
Switch them.
Switch them. And then put them back into the brand new body.
And now they're in that middle ground. I don't know how long it was out. I imagine it had only gone out for a second. Well, let's see what the chat said real quick. Kirby said, no, the game called Soma. Then Scavenger was like, Soma.
I've heard of Soma, but not played it.
Kirby said, EPU of real humans are placed in a virtual world in the event of human extinction. Extinction, not extension. I guess that would be humans' extension to overcome extinction.
See, this is what introduces the concept. I don't truly believe that. I think, in my personal opinion, I think once you're dead, like, your thought process could probably be recorded down and everything, and you could probably translate most of your experiences down, but it
still won't be.
Yeah, it's the hardware, your brain, and then your soul that make you you. So yeah, you kinda would be there, but no, that's not you.
I'm actually really interested in, so if we combine a few technologies together, right, which is what we did earlier with the earlier thing, we have drones that can follow you around, like they can track like your wristband or whatever that you wear. We have cameras that can get like 3D models of environments. And then we have the program where if it watches the video, it can make the game of it, kind of thing. So the baby's born, you throw the bracelet on its wrist. It has the drone that's constantly following it and like 3D modeling everything to make the assets, right? It's recording everything as well, so it's really creating like animating 3D models, and then you upload that into the program that makes a game of like whatever it sees, but it like can imitate the rules and understandings.
That I prefer to have Google's. If you haven't looked this up, it's hilarious. Look up Google's artificial intelligence trying to figure out how to use 3D models. You'll see this one guy just go, and like it's funny, like it's absolutely hilarious. But I prefer that because you want your AI to
come up with it itself.
Yeah, and you want your AI to have a progressive body as well. Like I said, there's a ton of factors that go into this, not just psychological, but like, you know, physical stuff like that too, and the world around it. So
definitely agree. How far off are we? Oh, not very far now. Scavenger said, awesome. Scavenger said, what is ALIFE? ALIFE is artificial life. So there are a lot of programs that emulate how life forms act and behave. They can be as simple as, here's a program that simulates how like ants operate in like an ant hive and how they work together and search for food and stuff, to as complex as like artificial life forms that aren't even like real creatures, which is what I like to fuck with. I like the idea that like I'm making the rules for how the life form works in the first place, so I can't actually make it wrong. You know what I mean?
You're God then. So yeah.
The creatures games are a good example of those. And I've never played a creature game, but I really want to. because it's that concept. The guy sits down and he's like, how do I want these life forms to act? And he creates a world where you can interact with them in a similar vein to Spore. I need to check in on creatures to see like how far in like progression have they gotten toward creatures 4. I remember when they were like talking about that, and that guy's working on a whole new thing where he says it's going to be like incredibly more advanced than anything else he's ever made, and I really want to see what he does with that. I also want to see how he feels about the EPU for virtual entities thing. I wonder if that could take what he's been working on for years and really boost him. Like if suddenly he goes from I'm so close but so far to oh damn it actually is doing a lot.
See, like EPU technology going from the human side, which this would actually kind of freak me out. It would be taking an EPU for a part of the brain. Let's say an accident happened and they're paralyzed or something. You take the EPU not for emotion, but for
like the intelligence aspect, but
yeah.
for that whatever portion of the brain they
yeah.
lost.
And then that takes on other functions of the brain to adapt. And it basically would bring someone
it cybernetically restores their brain, but artificially. But
yes,
only partially.
But it would not do the frontal lobes. I don't want to touch those. The reason being is because that is where you are, or parts of you are, I guess I should say. There's also stuff that is not the frontal lobes I wouldn't want to touch, just simply because you start touching that, it easily renders someone as disturbed, you know.
Oh, I think when it hits like 1, for sure is when like we'll probably have to stop. Because what we do is me and my roommate switch places, right? So normally at midnight, my roommate will come in here and sleep in the bed, and then I go in there and sleep on the floor. But in situations where we'll stay up a little bit later, but maybe he's tired, he'll just go to sleep on the couch. But the couch is here, so it's a complete sleep cuck on him.
What if he's on the floor? That'd be so bad.
I would feel bad too. Because I'm okay with sleeping on the floor, but that's not everybody's thing, you know? Oh, fuck, how far off are we? Kirby said, the world is placed in a space capsule and launched into space and entirely sustained by solar panels. Oh, like the virtual world? And that way, you like, if something happened to the planet, the EPU people could still live. This guy just said, ALIFE is similar to what we were talking about earlier. I do think the EPU stuff gets very close to ALIFE in a different way. It's less a biological simulation and more of like a psychological simulation. But I feel like we are touching on a lot of ALIFE stuff. The mech stuff is what's not getting a lot of love in this.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem at all. We did a whole thing on mechs. Watch the mech one.
Speaking of mechs, do you think that there should be a shield that has a chainsaw around it?
I do still agree with that.
That could take on and kick the American
Fuck
robot.
Eagle Prime.
Eagle Prime, yes. Because they had a freaking like chainsaw that like totally took out their stuff, and I was like,
cut its
what?
fingers off.
Oh, ow.
Let's see. Kirby said, but then what happens if the solar panels stop working? I was actually going to say, what happens if it gets, like, stuck in, like, cosmic dust and shit?
You put redundancies in there. Like, what type of redundancies do you want? Like, honestly. Like, we could put a nuclear power plant on there.
Oh, yeah, David has a good point. Like, as long as there are alternative sources to help out, when one thing is down, another thing can help, or they can work simultaneously, and then it becomes less optimal as it loses things, but never to the point where, unless it lost everything, it would be fucked. Kirby then put a question mark. Oh, because he accidentally put a slash before. I thought he was like, when are they going to answer the question? Scavenger said, David is acting like Mr. Hand slightly. When you tried to teleport anywhere in Jank Heroes. It's fictional. We can play God. this is really different between Jank Heroes, because in Jank Heroes it's just a game, so Mr. Hand should make it where I can go to my base anywhere. Here it's... In Jank Heroes, I tried to make a character who could access his base no matter where he was, and Mr. Hand was not having it. He was like, it's too broken. Like, you would be too good if you could go to your base no matter where you were. And Scavenger's point of view was like, it's just a game, just let him do it, it'd be fun, you can do stuff with it in the game. And Kirby was like, please stop, we've been going on for 4 hours. But he was saying that for some of your ethical concerns for like the stuff, he was like, you're being really restrictive, it's just a simulation kind of thing. But when they have feelings, when they like actually have emotions, it's not just a game. Like, I have to agree with David on a lot of the ethical stuff, because you're manipulating something where, and what's interesting about EPUs is they don't just have positive emotions. Like, they can feel negative things, so you can actually hurt them.
Case study, get an EPU, put it with a bunch of skinheads, and see if it likes Hitler.
Yeah,
you know?
I have been wanting that. And you may be like, Jet, why have you been wanting that specifically? Because they put an EPU in a Betamax toy from Big Hero 6, and they asked it if it liked Hitler, and it had to think about it for a minute, and it was like, Hitler disgusts me. But that EPU had only lived for like a few moments, and he already knew enough, in part because he scans the internet to learn about Hitler. So, I mean, he probably knew more about Hitler than the people who fucking asked him the question. But, but like, if you had raised that EPU for a long time around, like, neo-Nazis or whatever, and asked the same question, I feel like it would have changed opinion, because it can develop opinions.
See, that's one thing about EPUs that I think that we need to couple the artificial intelligence, like the autonomous cars, and those together. However, we need to slow down their capability of formulating stuff like that, because sifting through the internet, we can't even sift through the internet because we have to look it up. They were just, you know. But like, honestly, it's like, look up something. It's like half the time I can't find what the crap I want, and it's like.
And an EPU can be asked, "Do you like Hitler?" And it's like, hold up, whole internet of Hitler.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I think it's not really a concern of that. It's more of like that has a lot to do with the way you think and the way you adapt.
Do you know how many times you like Google something and you run into something that you didn't expect because you typed in the wrong thing, and it completely changes what you were into? Like, you just drop it. That never happens if your auto search is just on it. Like, you always get the right result. I agree with that. I feel like I legitimately would be a different person if every time I Googled something, it was exactly what I was looking for.
If every time you looked up something, you found it, and like,
sometimes when you don't find it, you end up thinking or finding something better. And EPUs just never have that problem because I don't know how they make a search algorithm that's on point like that. I wonder if you asked it questions about Hitler, if like it actually looked up rubber ducks or something. Like, because it's hard to tell because they don't ask it like, so what did you read? Like, no one goes back to it and says, so what did you actually learn about Hitler?
Is it like actually pre-programmed in there to hate Hitler?
That's the whole point of the demonstration, is to say like, it thinks of an opinion. You know what I mean? And they even, like, as it's thinking, says, like, the reason why it paused is because it now has to research Hitler.
See, like, that's another thing, like, without eyes and stuff, like, if you put an EPU in, like, a teddy bear...
That nigga can't see.
Yeah, so it's like... it's like when I was writing a little bit of something, they use sound and echolocation instead. And that really caught me off guard, because I was not expecting that shit. And I was like, whoa, I'll give you a webcam. And that totally changed how they thought. And that really, that shocked me. They're no longer with us anymore, sorry. But, yeah. Anyways, continue. So.
I like how you had so much respect for the ALIFE. You were like, they're no longer with us.
Well,
and like apologize. Like, that's admirable, you know.
Well, that's because I worked really hard, and then I got destroyed. So it's kind of like you work really hard on something, and you treat it like it's yours and it's your child almost.
Do you think EPUs are gonna spoil people? Because we are already showing signs of that. We're like, what if we put the EPUs in a bunch of virtual people and then like have them do an end of the world scenario? But what if it wasn't as simple as like connecting a machine to a computer, and now like all these virtual bodies have like intelligences and personalities? What if you had to like really get in there and handcraft each and every one to make them to the point where they can feel on their own and think on their own?
Well,
and then you do a world-ending thing, and it's like, you built this, and now you're gonna watch it fall. You know, will we not be tempted to do stuff like that?
I've already done that case study, and it was myself. So, essentially, if you take it slower, like I was telling you, you come into a shit ton more problems, actually, but the floodgates open up, and then you realize that they're not really that smart. Like, at all. Like, I think the most intelligent mind I ever got were, like, 4th grade. And I don't know any code, so that's, you know, like, honestly, I was not the one who coded them. I was just kind of the architect of, oh, here's this picture. Here's yay, net, you know, like that. And I built a little, you know, secondary machine with potentiometers and, you know, stuff on it to help that all out. But when you have to handcraft it like that, they actually do start to take on some pretty fucking scary, realistically legitimate stuff. However, that happens, but they don't understand it. So,
what's quantum physics? And you're like, Sally, please put the book down.
oh, that's exactly what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually had to cut them off because they would read something, but they wouldn't get it. So it'd be like instant snap. What's like 5 trillion times this? Fix. But then like, what's 2 plus 2? Without that, it'd be like, I don't know. You know.
Yeah, like you learned something really complex, but without learning anything fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
And that's why I was like saying, that's why you have to cut that off, and that's why you have to have that actual emotional development, or else it's a lie.
It would be really interesting if you asked the EPU its opinion of Hitler, and it said that Hitler was disgusting, but then you asked it about like, how do you feel about what Hitler did, and its answer like didn't fit with the Hitler disgusting thing. So you have like a third question, and like its opinion is like really grounded, where it's like, it didn't feel like everything that he's like sympathizes with him, and then says, but his like process was wrong, and I would be hella impressed. Like, I feel like they should have went deeper with the Betamax thing and asking it the questions.
That's where I'm talking about. Trying to debug those type of problems is exactly what you're talking about, and they should have did that. Because honestly, I don't believe that was his real opinion.
Damn, I like how savage that is, because there's one part where they ask the Betamax, like, they're like, I love you, Betamax, do you love me, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the Betamax has a hard pause because he's doing the opinion thing on the person asking him, and the person pushed a little bit more with the whole like, I love you, Betamax, do you love me? And Betamax stops the processing thing and just kind of goes, yes, I love you, kind of thing. And I had a similar thing where I'm like, I don't think it's its opinion. I think it didn't want to make them upset, and it could detect they were upset and just lied. I feel like Betamax lied to that bitch.
Honestly, that is more than likely what happened. And the bit is that when you slam something with this much information before like, even if it's running through the calculations, like, really, really fast, it's not...
I feel like its emotional processes are still, like, they're still, like, hours. Like, even if you're processing information really quickly, how you feel is something that develops over time. It's not a calculation like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where they're fucking around too hard. I've just been born. I have access to the whole internet. What do you think of Hitler? It's like I don't have a lot to base on. And if you asked it that question every day, I feel like each day you probably get a different answer as it kept looking over the information and like context of everything else it learns.
See, it's like, that's exactly right. It's like with my things, it's like, yeah, they could do that. But the thing is that after I cut that out, and then did it way the heck later, the response was not as straight. I didn't ask him about Hitler in particular, I asked about like other stuff, but it would be like more lengthy and more opinionated. You know, like, I don't know, it'd be like a sort of like almost read out of a textbook, or what you would expect. It would be like, I like the sun because the sun makes me feel warm, and it's, you know, instead of like, the sun is shiny, it helps things grow, you know, like,
yeah.
It was more of like, this is what I in particular like about it.
Because disgusting is just a one-word reaction. You know, it's not like, why do you feel it's disgusting? I feel like it's probably time for us to like start closing out because we hit 1 and he doesn't have a couch.
Yeah.
Let's read over the live chat thing real quick and then we'll wrap up. We should definitely do this again though. Let's see. Kirby said autonomous driving should never happen. Damn, what a hard opinion.
Not yet. Not yet.
Scavenger said, I want South Park in real life. Then Kirby said, 3 minutes, 2, couch stealer. Well, thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like this video. Favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding ding ding, ring that bell so you'll be notified whenever we do these live streams. Don't worry, we'll get link summoning videos in coming up at some point. So stay tuned for that. I know a lot of people want to see me do the link summoning stuff for Dueling Nexus, getting on Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. If you like this, definitely check out our mech videos that we did earlier, and have a wonderful night. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, and Dave, logging out. Peace.
Have a good one.